Hi, everyone. A very warm welcome to World Stories, your weekly international reporters magazine. I'm Layla Harak. In this week's edition, we go from a windy spot in Morocco to a milestone birthday in Bulgaria. And we get a taste of cracking crabs in China. That and much more straight ahead. But we start off by visiting a special kind of place, one that has made it its mission to defy the odds. Anybody who's ever tried to surf knows it's a major balancing act and muscle-achingly difficult. Imagine for a moment chasing waves when you have a physical disability. Now that takes a very special kind of bravery. In Chile, one surfing professional is making a splash by teaching people with an impairment how to surf. Because if you can take on the ocean, you can take on anything. Malena Rodriguez Suarez from UCV-TV finds out how in the water we're all equal.
During the winter months, the surf here on the beaches of the marvelous Viña del Mar is at its highest. That's when water sports lovers flock here to jump into the waves. Thanks to an initiative by Renato Arellano, we've made a discovery here. In the sea, we're all the same. Renato Arellano is a professional athlete and a teacher at the Free Sport Body Surfing School. The sea is his passion, and his many years of experience riding the waves have taken him from one triumph to another in the Latin American Championships. Nowadays, he works with one of the most innovative projects in Chile and in the region. It's called Adapt to Surf, and its message is, in the sea, we're all equal. The project aims to use this wonderful sport to integrate children, teens and adults with various disabilities.
I
wanted to continue my career as a teacher alongside my athletic career, and I couldn't imagine doing anything that wasn't closely connected to the sea, so this was ideal. I can teach and pass my skills on to the younger generations, and I can introduce more people across the country to the sea and its waves and joys. It was important for me to combine my educational work with my passion for the sea. And so, together with students from the Catholic University of Valparaiso, I developed a project that's unique in the world. It allows us to introduce children with various disabilities, disorders, and syndromes to the sea. Our main objective is to show that we're all equal, that the sea can bring us together, and that it allows us to achieve optimal development. Above all, we hope to make Chilean society aware that there are no qualitative differences between people. Differences only come about through failings in our education, culture, and other social factors. You just have to create an awareness of that, and why not do it through surfing and the sea? We've assembled a large team. I'm not the only one here. Our team has just formed the Adapt to Surf Chile organization, where we all perform various functions to move the project ahead. At present, we're cooperating with various other centers. Many parents are very grateful for the opportunities the surfing school offers their children. Parents, the authorities, and the government have welcomed the chance for these kids to practice a sport like surfing. I'm trying to find out to what extent my career as a teacher is compatible with my athletic career. I'm lucky to work with teachers who support my work, both at the surfing school and the university. That gives me the chance to travel. My principal sponsors, the city of Viña del Mar and the NMD Body Board, support me when I take part in international contests, helping me put Chile in the lead.
Thanks to this initiative, children with a wide array of disabilities and their families are showing us that, in the sea, they're no different from anyone else. We sincerely hope that this project will spread and prove to the world that discrimination is uncalled for, and that in daily life and in the sea, we're all equal.
And now to something else uplifting, the gusty winds of northern Morocco, the Sharqi. One of the fastest growing energy sources in the world is wind. That's right, not oil, not coal, and certainly not nuclear energy. Wind power is plentiful, doesn't run out, and comes courtesy of Mother Nature. So what better way to power a country than by harnessing it? Christophe Kober reports on how Moroccans are reaping the benefits of clean, green energy.
The Arabic word sharqi means a wind from the east. In northern Morocco's Rif Mountains, the sharqi blows almost constantly. Now it's become one of the country's leading energy sources. It drives the Tangier wind farm's 165 turbines. Mohamed Arouijal is the wind farm's director. He, 4 engineers, and about 24 technicians keep the turbines spinning. Every 2 days, they run a routine check on the plateau. The wind has to blow at a yearly average speed of 10 meters per second to make a location profitable for wind turbines. At around 17 meters per second, a turbine can generate some 850 kilowatt hours.
When the wind speed reaches 25 meters per second, the turbine automatically shuts down. That kind of wind is too strong for the equipment.
That happens a few times a month, more often in summer than winter. The east wind blows up here from the Mediterranean Sea, about 40 kilometers away. The wind farm went online in November 2011. Its 140 megawatt capacity is about a quarter of what a small coal-fired power plant can generate. Spain and Germany helped finance the project. Renewable energy sources could supply a large part of Morocco's power needs without causing greenhouse gas emissions.
Demand for electricity is rising an average of 7% a year, so Morocco has to provide an additional 400 to 500 megawatts of production capacity per year. There is an enormous potential in wind and solar energy here, and making better use of it could take a lot of pressure off both the budget and the environment.
As Morocco's economy grows, it needs more and more energy. Till now, more than 90% of its energy has come from imports. Gasoline, diesel, and fuel oil are offloaded at the port of Tangier. They're used to drive power plants, machinery, and generators. Morocco is moved from a developing to an emerging economy. Rabat, Casablanca, and Tangier are economic hubs, and the growing demand for energy isn't only coming from large industry. It's also coming from individuals with small businesses, like Khadija Boumkassar, a seamstress in Tangier's Old Town. Her mother started the little family business some 40 years ago. Khadija began helping out as a young girl.
My mother and her employees did everything by hand, but eventually we started getting so many jobs we bought a sewing machine. That was 8 years ago. Then the business expanded and we bought a second, third and a fourth sewing machine.
Demand for loose robes called djellabas peaks during summer, but the power supply is not reliable. When the power goes out completely, the workers have to go back to sewing by hand. So Khadija has been thinking about installing a rooftop solar array.
The power outages cause big problems for us. We have to stop work and our customers are unhappy. And electricity is quite expensive. Sometimes I can't pay the power bill right away, and then they turn it off.
The objective is sufficient energy to meet the demand, preferably from climate-friendly sources. Morocco needs its own trained personnel to be able to make long-term and independent use of solar and wind power. Several universities, including this one in Rabat, now offer master's degree programs that include the study of renewable energies. Specialists from Germany are helping Moroccan government bodies train engineers to run operations like wind farms.
Wind can develop a lot of jobs in the country. It also have a social impact on the regions. You know that the very windy regions are very often poor regions. And developing wind parks in these regions can give also some support for these regions, economical support. That's also why we have some training centers and will be developed in Ouarzazate, in Oujda, in Tangier, dedicated to these technologies.
The plan is ambitious. Within 8 years, Morocco hopes to be generating 2,000 megawatt hours from wind power alone. That's 14 times the capacity now supplied by the Tangier wind farm. But then Morocco has more than 3,000 kilometers of windy coastline to harness. The need for qualified personnel is already urgent.
Many of the workers don't have enough practical experience. You can't learn all the necessary skills in just 1 or 2 years. I'm sure we'll need 3 or 4 years for that.
Mohammed Arouijal is lucky that his turbines are still relatively new. They don't need much maintenance yet. The next big wind farm is already in the planning, and it will require even more qualified engineers.
Now, staying with weather elements, recently the biggest snowstorm in decades hit the Middle East. For many Jordanians, seeing streets blanketed in white was a novel experience. But for the 120,000 Syrian refugees in the country's largest camp, it was anything but fun and games. The bitter cold made their already precarious situation even more dire. And on the streets of Amman, though, the unusual conditions made for pretty pictures and plenty of snowball fights. Hassan Adnan from Al Rashid TV filed this report on the unusual winter weather.
Arab countries are usually warm. Snow is rare in this part of the world, but not unheard of. Christian Lebanese singer Fayrouz is famous throughout the region. She's recorded a number of Christmas songs featuring snow. It's been snowing in Amman for 2 days now. Many people have been forced to take a day off work. The snowplows are out trying to free up the streets of the Jordanian capital.
We've been clearing out the snow for 24 hours now. We're working in 2 shifts. First, we set out to clear the main streets, and now we're moving on to the side streets.
Many families have gone outside to marvel at this rare natural wonder and to play in it. They're having to wrap up warm as temperatures are 1 to 2 degrees below freezing.
It's not often we have beautiful white snow in Jordan. As you can see, no one is staying indoors. We're outside, going from house to house and enjoying this beautiful sight together. Everyone is beside themselves with joy. God willing, it'll keep snowing.
It's so beautiful. We've been out a lot since yesterday. Hardly anyone is staying home. It's exhilarating to go out and see the world blanketed in white like this.
Aren't you freezing?
No, we're bundled up.
To be honest, I can't feel my feet anymore. If they were to fall off now, I wouldn't even notice. I've been outside for 2 days.
We've been having snowball fights and building snowmen. It's a wonderful feeling. It's so much fun.
It's such a great atmosphere. We hardly ever see anything like this. We're enjoying this very special weather. It's really enchanting.
It's like we're not even in an Arab country. It's more like Europe.
It's great to see everyone playing in the snow so happily. I wish I could take it back to Iraq with us, so they could have as much fun there.
In many parts of the Kingdom of Jordan, main streets are covered in a white blanket of snow. This rare occurrence is due to an unusual cold front passing through the country. This is Ghassan Adnan for Al Rashid TV.
Next, we meet an extraordinary man from Bulgaria who lives and breathes history. With friends like the Tsar, a career in the Navy that included time served on a torpedo boat, his life reads like an Ian Fleming book. And to top it all, he hit the century mark with a memory as sharp as a whip. We're talking about a man who has seen it all and whose life personifies Bulgaria's history. Tatiana Kisiova and Zivko Petrov from Cherno More TV sent this profile.
Rusko Keremichiev's life story spans a century. He's lived through 2 world wars, decades of communist rule, and his country's subsequent transition to capitalism.
My name is Rusko Kostadinov Keremichiev. I was born on October the 5th, 1912, the day the First Balkan War started.
When did you join the Navy? And when did you serve on the Draski torpedo boat?
I was born in the village of Gradet in Kotel municipality. When I was 7 years old, my family moved to Burgas, where I started school. I studied, lived, and worked there until 1943 with short breaks. I joined the Navy on the 10th of October 1933. 6 months later, I was transferred to the Draski torpedo boat. I trained as an able seaman. I served on the Draski from the 1st of May 1934 until the 4th of October 1935.
One of Keremichiev's most treasured memories is his friendship with Tsar Boris III.
Every time Tsar Boris came to Varna, he would inspect the Navy. And since the Draski was the flagship, he always came on board. He'd stand at the helm, the place where the commander stood. We stood next to one another, just like you and me right now. The first time I addressed him as Your Majesty, as I've been taught. And he interrupted me, saying, "Oh, no, no, please. These titles are suitable in the ranks, but not around here. Let's be on friendlier terms." So we became friends. And after that day, each time Tsar Boris visited the Navy, he would ask for me first.
Keremichiev says the birth of Tsar Boris's son, the future Tsar Simeon of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, was one of his generation's most memorable events.
When Princess Maria Luisa was born, I was in Burgas. When Simeon was born, I was working in Aitos. By that time, Kimon Gorgiev's right-wing coup d'etat was over. Tsar Boris had forced him to resign. I'd gone to Aitos and started a new job with an agricultural cooperative. I was with 3 of my friends. We caught the train to Sofia. We spent 2 days and 2 nights under the palace's balcony, waiting to see the newborn king. That happened in June 1937.
That must have been a big celebration.
It was a very big celebration. Nearly half the Bulgarian population was in Sofia. People did folk dances in the streets and drank a lot of wine. Everybody was enjoying themselves. Eventually we went to the palace, and they led us into the royal courtyard. And we sat there waiting, and suddenly Tsar Boris came out onto the balcony, holding the heir to the throne in his arms. After that, we went back to Aitos.
In the 100 years of your life, when were times the hardest?
1928, 1929, and 1930. That was the big crisis. The price of wheat was 2 cents a kilo. There were no jobs, and then the famine came. It lasted until 1931 or 32. After that, our country managed to get back on its feet.
Makes 100 look like the new 80. All right, we started the show on a beach, and what better way to end it than by sampling some seafood? Anybody game for some hairy Chinese mitten crab for lunch? Well, the fearless eaters among you might want to give it a try. They're described as a scourge in Europe and North America, but in China, fuzzy crabs are a delicacy. There you can have mitten crabs any which way you like. ICS reporter Ya Ying Wang takes us into the kitchen for a taste of this regional specialty.
The Chinese love mitten crabs. Their meat is a seasonal delicacy. It's easy to find recipes.
So today, just follow City Beat to check out all the A to Z's about mitten crabs.
But what comes to mind when we talk about crab cuisine? Traditional dishes include braised bean curd with crab meat, stir-fried crab, sautéed mitten crab with rice cakes, and crab meat steamed buns. But more and more new crab dishes are appearing, and many of them are delicious. Crystal crab claw jelly is one of them. Making it can be a challenge. It requires a high degree of skill to get the tasty meat out of the crab's pincers. Black vinegar gives the dish a refreshing taste, and the cute crab shapes make a decorative addition to the dinner table. Baked crab shell is another dish worth trying. Cheese is mixed into the crab meat to sweeten the flavour, but that doesn't make it greasy. After baking, the filling becomes quite crunchy. If these two dishes are the new boys on the block of crab cuisine, then the next one is truly an original. Chef Chen, what's this special dish called?
It's called Tu Huang Yu.
Tu Huang Yu?
Yes, Tu Huang Yu. Tu Huang Yu is actually made of mitten crab cream. You should use mitten crabs that weigh over 150 grams. The technique of making Tu Huang Yu was once lost for over 10 years. It's a bit complicated. The first step is to make crab oil, which takes about 4 hours. The finished dish doesn't contain any crab meat at all.
What else is in there? Is it vinegar?
Many people think it's vinegar, but it's ginger tea. It warms the stomach.
Salt-baked mitten crab has suddenly become quite popular recently, and I found one right here. Want to have a try?
Lemon juice is used to remove the crab's fishy smell. Then they're covered in sea salt and baked in the oven. In 20 minutes, the salt-baked mitten crabs are done. More and more people have grown to love this simple but delicious recipe. The aroma of salt-baked mitten crabs is quite different from that of steamed ones. Baking makes them even crunchier. Let's try one. You start by carefully opening the crab's shell. Just one bite explains why this dish has become such a hit with foodies.
That does look very tasty. And that does it for us. It was a pleasure to spend time with you. We hope you'll join World Stories again next week. Here are this week's picks of the world. Have a great one.